Welcome to my channel. My name is Yoko Rowing and I am a director of the multicultural advocacy at the Hope Esperanza non-profit organization in North Platte, Nebraska. This is my channel to talk about very important topics like diversity. So I called my channel and interview series a colorful visionary. So don't forget to subscribe and enjoy the conversation. Hi, good morning. My name is Yoko Rowing. I'm a local entrepreneur and also Zen Wealth Strategies founder and LPL financial advisor. Today I am here as a representative of the Hope Esperanza. I'm a director of the culture advocacy, and here it is, one of my favorite person in town. He's a CEO and the president of the North Platte Chamber and Development Corporations, Gary Pearson. So let's hear from the Gary a little bit about himself, even though you guys probably know really well about himself. So,
okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I've spent almost 9 years now in this role.
Oh, wow.
North Platte, boy, time flies when you're having fun. You know?
It does,
Yeah.
it does.
But I have probably over 40 years experience in working with community and economic development. I've done a number of different things, everything from being I grew up on a farm ranch in western Nebraska.
Yes, I remember.
And I was in the newspaper business for a while. I ran Chambers of Commerce, Economic Development Corporations, worked for the governor's staff for 4 years.
Yes.
Also was a city manager for 16 years and kind of went back to my first love, and that's working with economic development and Chambers of Commerce and trying to facilitate change in the community for the better and bring new investment, new jobs, new commerce into a community. And so we've had relatively good success in recent years. Everybody working together, the city, the county, the business community, the schools, organizations, everybody kind of got on the same page and said, you know what, if we all start working together, we can make some good things happen. And that's what we've saw. We now have about $2.3 billion in new projects emerging in North Platte. They're either close to completion, they're emerging forward, or they're in the final development stages. So a lot of exciting things going on.
We're talking about all the developments that you have done, and also we are about to talk about this very exciting the growth and also a development that North Platte has. So please elaborate a little bit.
One of the significant anchor new projects that we've worked on very hard over the last 4 years to get it to this stage has been the Sustainable Beef Project. And that is a $400 million plus new investment in our community. It's going to help a lot of area ranchers with their develop a new market for their cattle right in their own backyard. That's been very, very significant. It was driven forward by ranch families that working with agriculture business people in this new formation. We embraced that project from day one as we began working through all the details. It took us about 4 years to or 2 years of public processes to go through. And the fact that we had 18 public hearings, public meetings, where there had to be an official vote with 5 different city agencies, as well as a couple of county. And then, of course, it had a statewide permitting process that went through as well. And the irony of all of that is that, or I shouldn't say irony, it is the wonderful thing that unfolded about that is that it got unanimous support in all of those voting blocks. So everybody knew from going into this and the educational process that unfolded with all the information that came forward in community meetings as well as the public hearings is that this would bring about significant change for the community. 875 new jobs. The meatpacking industry traditionally is filled by a lot of labor force is very diversified. You're talking, several Hispanic laborers, but as well as there will be a significant amount of female labor
Yes.
involved in this, which I think is kind of surprising when people get into the details. But there's so much new technology and the way that this whole process facilitates itself that it's a lot that the labor aspect of it isn't quite as as heavy, labor intensive as it once was. You have a lot of technology that will help, facilitate some of the processes there. So it allows for a different kind of labor force than what you may have seen 30, 40, 50 years ago, and then
Sure.
even 10 years ago. And as the contractor that is building this, they built like 20 of these worldwide. He said this will be the best in the world.
Oh wow!
When it's done.
Best in the world,
Best
yeah.
in the world until they build the next
Mark
one.
their words, yes.
Until they build the next one, because they learn something new in every one
Sure.
that they do. And then as technology changes and so forth, they upgrade all those situations there. So everybody knew that change would occur.
Yes.
When if we were successful in getting this project moving forward, and we were, and now we're in the throes of this is going to actually open in operation in less than a year from now.
That is exciting. Less than a year.
and we knew that we're going to have workforce issues that we're going to have to embrace and bring new folks into the community, but also it's going to create housing challenges, childcare challenges, educational system challenges and all those different entities have worked hard to try to prepare.
Right.
As other community advocates in other communities that went through a kind of a similar change have told us that you just can't prepare for everything.
No, you cannot. It's
gonna be
impossible. It is impossible.
Different change happen, and you're going to have to, at some, you could be very proactive, but sometimes you got to be reactive to different situations and make the best of it. We want to be a very inviting, welcoming community. And so the unanimous public votes and the tremendous support we saw from the general public towards the end of that project process tells me that the community was ready for an exciting change, and they were willing to embrace it. And the fact that we've now attracted a lot of new housing developers.
Yes.
17, that's pretty amazing. You turn the clock back from, say, when I arrived in North Platte, there was really just basic housing development. You had just a handful of things going on in the community, to where now we have 17 new developments. If you took all 17 of those new developments and you put the master plan together on what that means, there's almost 2,000 new housing units.
Wow, that's quite a bit of numbers that we added.
And it's all over the board.
Right.
It's rehab housing, that'll be more like efficiency apartments, and you got to everything but to the high end construction that's going on. But most of it is market rate housing for the workforce.
Yes, affordable
For the
housing.
workforce,
I think that's going to be very helpful.
And there's all kinds of terminology out there. It's affordable, it's workforce, it's and it's hard for the general public to wrap their arms around it and say, well, what is affordable?
Right, exactly.
It's what that individual comes down to, what that individual worker can afford. To make sure that they can pay their bills and pay the rent and so forth. But the wages that we're bringing in with some of these new industries and new jobs that are coming are going to pay very well. They're going to compensate people very well. They're going to have nice benefits to it. I know Sustainable Beef is very committed to providing some child care assistance.
Okay, very good.
And that's just one employer, and others are stepping up. I know a lot of other employers in town are bringing in different staff members that can deal with some of the language barriers, and to try to make it as inviting and welcoming as possible. And that's what we want North Platte to be.
Right.
It's always been a community transition. The railroad's had a huge presence here for a long time. The last 20 years, Walmart Distribution Center, the same.
Yes.
And they always have a lot of different workers coming in and out, and coming from all walks of life, all different kinds of backgrounds. So North Platte's always historically had a little bit of that. It's just going to be, we're going to have to ramp up our efforts And I think we're seeing the business community do that. I mean, we got a lot of new restaurant venues
Oh,
coming in,
it's been
a lot of new
blossoming.
housing. The quality of life factors. You saw the voters rally around the new recreation
Yes.
plan to triple the size of the existing rec center, improve it, upgrade it, and same with Cody Pool and put an aquatic center, an outdoor venue, new skate park. We have new pickleball courts, tennis courts.
Yes, that's
walking
really
trails.
great that we finally put
Yeah.
money into, like outdoor activities.
Right.
I think youth and everyone in the community could appreciate those types of upgrading. So I think that's wonderful that, you guys have been working so hard to making the deals, to developing and then putting into that, the plan into the actions at this moment. Now, my question will be, of course, I'm all about the cultures, I'm all about the diversity, but then we also have, anticipations for the city and community members to be updated with what's really going on with, as far as taking care of the, lifestyle of the people who come in and moving in here, and also long-term residents as well. Sometimes, the people feel the concept of having a change into their life is so difficult because we are so get used to that, one way of living or a certain level of comfort for so many years, correct? And so where are we really to that concept of, having a transformation, but then we are not necessarily asking North Platte community members to change their view nor change their lifestyles in that sense. We just want it to be adapted, that idea and in concept.
So and respect those cultures
exactly.
and their beliefs,
So what do you
we're all
see
different.
where
we
we
all
are?
have different beliefs to some degree, whether it be political or religious or, or what's best for a community. We see that all the time. Most of the projects we worked on, from a development standpoint, you have a lot of split votes on city council.
Yes.
So it tells you that people have different opinions on what is the best, and so majority rules, but it comes down to individual respect. I obviously give a lot of presentations. I talk to a lot of groups, try to inform people what's going on. And one of the favorite things I like to ask them, when they talk about the immigration of new labor coming into the community and so forth, that I asked him, I said, so how many Native Americans do we have sitting in the audience right now? And rarely are there any. And I said, oh, so you're all products of immigrants, huh? and it's the truth.
That's
you look back,
that is
you go back in time, everybody came from families other than Native Americans that actually immigrated to the United States for a better life. And for better opportunities and to support their families and to build for the next generation. And so that's what America's always been about. And that's what we should never forget. It's a common theme. It's a common grassroots thing that we all came from, and move forward generation by generation. And now it's time to adapt to a new wave of immigration coming, and everybody's all about trying to make sure this is legal work permits and a legal way of doing it, but government needs to find a better way to facilitate a lot of this, and a lot of people want to do it the right way and the legal way and everything else. They're really hamstrung by a very time-consuming processes.
It is.
So we have our work to do from a legislative standpoint, influencing our federal legislators, our state legislators, to make sure that we're doing the right things from a regulatory standpoint to embrace this and to help. And you can't talk to an employer in town that doesn't need more workers.
No.
And we all do. So we're hoping there's a secondary labor market that comes with the primary wage earners.
Okay.
And these other family members that can fill other jobs and responsibilities in the community. And so I think there's going to be something there for everybody. And most employers will tell you, just give me somebody that's willing to work and to show up on time and to put a good day's work in, And so they're all frustrated right now because there is with generational changes and
Generational
mindsets,
change,
and then you
yes.
add the COVID debacle into the whole mix. There's some people in the workforce that haven't taken it as serious as they should because jobs are so plentiful. And back in my day, when I was a young kid growing up, you competed hard for a job.
Yes.
You know, and you worked your tail off, you know, making sure that you did everything right. You worked hard, you put extra time in because you needed that job, you wanted that job, and you wanted to outperform the other person. And now when their jobs are so plentiful, it's like the jobs are more plentiful than the labor. You have kind of the opposite effect. So there's always will be a role for hardworking people who take personal responsibility in doing it the right way, to show up and to be loyal in their practices. And they'll find every employer in this town that will embrace that and wants that to happen. So it behooves all of us to, you know, try to be as culturally conscious as we need to be. And there's wonderful things like Hope Esperanza and the wonderful event that you organize every year, you know, to celebrate.
Annual International Bazaar, yes,
Yeah,
it's coming up a fourth year.
Celebrate diversity and new cultures and hear the wonderful music, you know, and the different cultures and just kind of really celebrate life together.
You know, I really love the fact that you mentioned about our annual International Bazaar, because that's where anybody could join and share their own opinion, share the, you know, exploring, to introduce themselves and to be inspired by different culture that is among us, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember you have visited our annual International Bazaar last year. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
It was you know, I really enjoyed not only the music and the festivities and visiting with a few folks, but the different foods.
Oh,
you know, I tried food I would have never ever tried before. You
Which
know?
one was your favorite?
Oh my gosh! You know, I can't even remember the names of some
Is
of
that
them.
the Pakistani food? Did you
Yeah,
try?
I tried a little bit. Tried to try a little bit of everything. You know, I'm kind of an old country boy. You know, growing up in a farm and ranch on meat and taters. You know, that's what it was all about. But so this was a wonderful experience for me. I'm a huge fan of Hispanic food.
Yes,
you know,
me too.
I just love. It's probably the favorite of all of them. But I even tried some things I never realized was part of that Hispanic diet. But it's just amazing experience, and thank you for all the effort you put into that. You can see how hard you work to do that, and the different music and the entertainment. It was just very, very enjoyable. You know?
That's great to hear that.
Yeah.
Because what I'm really trying to, you know, like as a Hope Esperanza, what we wanted to push on the culture, Peter, is to really be minimizing the culture in between, cultural gaps in between some of the existing, you know, like local community members who haven't really embraced that part of it as a diversity, existence, and presence in a culture here in the North Platte community, and also you know, perhaps the students, physicians, nurses, all the community members that moved from the outside of the Nebraska or even from the different countries. And then I think there is a huge demand for it. I mean, you know, the culture gap to be minimized, because moving forward with that type of development and also a process of integrating a lot of immigrations and migration workers here in the community, I think it will be a key point for us to really understanding, and then for the employers also to understanding one of the most important things is to work and you know, providing a safe environment for everyone that wants to come back to work for that company for long times, wants to stay in the community to grow together, is simply comes down to understanding of each other. You know, what we doing as a company, what we are doing as a city to minimizing a culture gap, or even giving opportunity for anybody in this community, including non-foreigners, foreigners, everyone, to be on the same page. I think that is going to tremendously helps to be on the same page, where companies, like Walmart DCs, Great Plain Health, even like banks around here, any of the local business could benefit from, by integrating that idea. So it's great to see that North Platte Chambers has been embraced to be a partner with the Hope Esperanza within a community safety conversation. How's that community safety and outreach going for you guys?
Well, Tina Maria
Yes.
has done a wonderful job, bringing community leadership in for some frequent meetings that we have, and to expose everybody to some of the challenges, that the workers, the families that are moving here, what they're facing, the types of things they need to be able to transition into the community. So that's a really good start. We've been very active also on the state level on some statewide efforts. We worked with a group out of Omaha, and they've really embraced the North Platte issue, and they've invited us to their various meetings. In fact, next Monday, Cassie from our staff is going to go down to a statewide meeting, and they're talking about trying to facilitate some legislative change, to enhance that. And I think we got to look to even our own community as for examples of how some employers have already kind of set the table for a lot of this to happen. You look at Great Plains Health and their active role in recruiting foreign nurses into the program because of the scarcity, of number of nurses that's needed, so they can operate. They can't fully embrace being fully operating in all of their rooms because of the nursing shortages. So they've been very creative in the way they've approached it. They've tried to do internal things to make those foreign workers feel more at home and kind of have their own outlet as far as social networking and communication, and incorporate other parts of their workforce to do that. So we need to look towards examples of that. And I think those employers in the community that embrace this and are proactive the most will be the most successful at building their own workforces. So and I know Sustainable Beef, a lot of the management team that they're recruiting, that's what these few months this particular year have been about, is getting their management team in place. And these are folks that have a lot of experience dealing with the different cultures that fill the workforce in these types of facilities. So they're coming with a lot of experience themselves.
That's great.
And they'll know the things they need to do to make that a better situation. And it comes down to everybody's competing for labor right now. So Sustainable Beef is offering us a model that's really going to be attractive to that workforce, because they're going to run 5 days a week, early morning to late afternoon, and then there will be no evening work shift. There will be no graveyard shift. There will be no weekend shift. So it's very family friendly environment. So a lot of workers in other communities that work graveyard shifts, it's not very family conducive, but they have to operate that way, because that's what the jobs are.
Demand,
but the attractiveness of coming to North Platte and having a better life, really good wages, and being able to bring your family and enjoy the family aspect of the life, it's going to be very attractive. And I think it's a really good model that they're putting into place, and they're going to gear up. I think they're going to start with around 500 head a day in processing, ramp up eventually to 1,500. But that way they can add to the workforce and grow the workforce as they train people and grow, and make sure they just not have mass chaos from day one, because it's going to take time to facilitate everybody, incorporate them into that. So it's going to be really exciting times.
Yes, it is.
And, we're working hard on the Industrial Rail Park and Inland Port Authority. So we look for that to also bring a very diverse workforce into our economy. And we're doing everything we can possibly do when it comes to housing and all levels of housing. So we just can't it's one of those things you can't just turn the switch off and say, okay, we're done. You got to keep going, and keep priming the pump and growing the community and embrace new opportunities. And so we have an opportunity in front of us that I don't think North Platte has probably had for maybe about 80 years when they built Bailey Yard. You know, that became the world's largest classification yard for Union Pacific, which facilitated a lot of change. And you'd have to go back even further there than like the Homestead Act and Kincaid Act and those things that brought the original settlers in here. So this is a point in the history of North Platte they'll look back upon as the success is going to be dependent on those of us here now that make this a wonderful experience for everybody that's involved. Yeah, there's going to be growing pains. There will be. Right. Yeah, there will probably be incidents. You know, that's when you add more people, you're going to add more issues. That just happens, no matter when. And that doesn't have an ethnic boundary to it. That's just people misbehaving.
Sure.
You know, and so you got to be prepared for that. And our school system, our law enforcement has been very supportive of our efforts to do this. And I think everybody's gearing up. And sometimes it's just the fear of the unknown, you know, and people want to suspect the worst, or they see a headline here or a headline there, and that's what they want to believe the whole thing's about, when 95% of it is never that. It's always the good things that are going on. And
So I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No,
you're good.
I mean, let me ask you this question. What do you think that your staff members, the commissioners in towns, yes, everybody is entitled to their own voices and an opinion. However, when it comes down to embracing one, like a business industry like sustainable beef, is going to be a huge decision-making part of what our North Platte community is going to look like, and that's our responsibility that we are going to keep involving. So, what do you think of that city council, leaders in the communities? Are they taking that diversity conversation a little bit more serious at this point? And if they so, do you guys have any plan to moving forward with that type of conversation as we develop and getting closer to opening up the sustainable beef, as well as we at the Hope, we see that growth of the population daily. And so we just wanted to kind of making sure that, what's that to our community? What's our leadership is educating ourselves with the diversity and, inclusivities and welcoming, creating that sort of sustainable community model here in the North Platte.
Yeah, you can never do enough, and I think there's definitely an element of the community that's probably out there pretty resistant to a lot of change. One thing they don't want is something shoved down their throat, and that's not what this is about. This is embracing, trying to be this all welcoming, embracing community, and the policy things that need to be done. I think the city leadership will recognize that and do the right thing. I know the mayor is very, very committed to do this. I keep pointing back to the fact that, hey, they voted unanimously. They don't vote unanimously on anything except the Sustainable Beef Project. So that tells you how supportive they were of doing this project. And along with that comes everything else that you need to embrace and to make better. And that's why we work so hard on housing, the quality of life things, the factors that have gone on to all the different improvements. I know the city's working on getting another big grant to kind of address some of the rundown, dilapidated properties to try to get those dealt with in a very positive manner. And so they've been embracing what they call micro-tip projects. For instance, you have the old Elms Lodge on East 4th Street, which is a hotel that had been closed down, an apartment complex had been closed down because the utilities basically imploded, and it was a very unsafe condition. Everybody had to be moved out of the facility. And so you got a developer that came in, is going to embrace that and fix it all up. Rather than just tear it down, he's going to fix it up, and it'll offer efficiency, nice type of housing for workers that can't quite afford, a nicer apartment, get them a chance to get on their feet, get a job, get some money in their pocket, and then they can
Yes.
keep upgrading from there. So if you got to embrace programs like that to help too. It's the infrastructure part of it that you got to depend on the city, county leadership, those kind of
Yes.
things to address the infrastructure, the policies. The other things I think has to come from the community as a whole, and embracing the different changes, and be more cognizant of the way the world operates anymore, and that more openness that there is in talking about it.
Yes.
So talking helps, rather than having this underlying issue out there that nobody wants to address.
Right.
So it has to happen in this day and age, and I think anybody that's going to be successful in today's world needs to be as open-minded and as embracing as possible. And you can still hold your core beliefs
Oh yes,
and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But we need to respect one another, and that's what's going to make North Platte successful in this venture. Is that the churches need to kind of be a leader in this as well. Some of the community groups need to. I can't say enough good things about Hope Esperanza and what they're doing.
That's great. Thank you.
In fact, later today, I've asked Tina Marie to come visit with our Economic Development Committee to help them understand really what the organization does, the things they're seeing already with the emerging workforce, families moving here, and some of the challenges you face. And so we're just going to keep working at it, and we'll just. I'm always a firm believer there's just no challenge too big that we can't figure a way out how to address it.
I love that. Thank you, Gary. I mean, I think we had really good, the gold nuggets of talks today. That from the developing of the North Platte to changing people's, transforming populations and immigration situation in the North Platte really is going to be impacting our environment. And then, it's a lot of people talks about negative and risk assessments all the times, but I think we wanted to really encouraging people to open up their mind, open up their heart. And so they will be able to learn about what's the positive spin of having a growing town, growing community members, and also adding the diversity into a community. Because I personally feel that when we are challenged to a certain levels of topics or issues in North Platte, Nebraska, such as diversity, we need to up our games, right?
Yeah.
We need to keep it up with what's going on, because whether you are going to stay put and not listening to or adapting into what is being happening surrounding us, it's your choice. However, if you wanted to make it to contributing to creating a type of sustainable community, I think it is very helpful for each of us are going to do our part as a good Samaritan, the community members, to open up our mind and extending the helps, and sometimes say hello. That type of really friendly gesture can go long ways.
Yeah.
Because think about the positivity of the spin of global perspective is going to be cultivated. Maybe we are going to have even more of the diverse background stores, the restaurants.
Yep.
And think about that. That is going to leading into more traffic is going to stopping by at the North Platte. Not only for the gas station pump and go, but we are talking about spending more time. People might consider this location as their affordable homes.
Sure.
And then that's what we wanted to see, that, it changes, might comes, and yes, it will, but it is okay to adapt. It is okay to integrating into, in our own way to adapt these changes happenings in the North Platte. So thank you so much for your time today, Gary, with the North Platte Chamber in a Development Corporation. He's a CEO and a president. the Gary has been a great staple here in the North Platte community, and we are very, very great to have a leader like himself. So please tune in to our more diversity conversation coming up the week and the week to come. This is our Hope Esperanza. My name is Yoko Rowing, and I'm a director of the culture advocacy, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.